Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are bringing you 5 reflections about life, part 2. 1. Life is a lesson composed of smaller lessons learned over time. At the end is a resolution of form of enlightenment if you prefer.
The final lesson life has to teach is about how precious life is. Like in an age of the constant pursuit of more, we barely notice that we have the most important thing. Like we want more money, a bigger house, and everything in between. But when time comes, it becomes easier to see how little our desires matter. Suddenly, that big house dream doesn't matter as much. Suddenly, making more money is not nearly as important. It's like, even when we hear from other people that life is precious and we agree with them, it doesn't take long for us to go back to our constant pursuit of more. This is a call to make an effort to appreciate what you have while you have it, by living life to the fullest instead of mindlessly chasing whatever the social media says is cool to have or to be.
2. Life is the ultimate teacher, capable of teaching the deepest lessons to even the stubbornest of students.
Today we're encouraged to be extreme optimists, like almost to the extent that we even begin to fight and ignore the lessons that come from people who are like older or wiser. Like things like accepting our mortality and our need to have close relationships, for example. Like we behave as if we can live forever and waste an entire lifetime in the process until we notice we don't have much time left. We could have strived to live a fulfilling life from the start, but we didn't. We went about it or as if we had like 500 years to live or something. Our old customs teach us that we should be polite and watch what we say to people. Today, more and more people believe that everybody should speak their minds and ignoring how other people may feel because we are free to say what we think, right? It's like we're trying to erase centuries of wisdom on life, relationships, and we're trying to create new ways of thinking and acting from scratch. And the worst thing is that we believe that we can do it, that we can, in 20 years, generate more wisdom than it took our ancestors, like centuries, to build.
3. Life is at the end of the day what we think of it. For those who see life as a stage of joy with a few moments of sadness, more joy will be observed. For those who think of it as a stage of sadness with a few joyful moments, more sadness will be experienced. When it comes to life, you experience what you think you will experience.
Having a more positive outlook on life is really that powerful. And it's not on the law of attraction kind of way. Like for those who don't know, the law of attraction is in essence the idea that the universe somehow makes you whatever you think or feel happen, like in real life. And that's not what we mean. What we mean is that that's how our brains are wired. Science says that we can only focus on one thing at a time. So we can't be happy and sad in the same instant. Which means that if you make the effort to focus on the positive now, that's all you experience. If you make the same effort over the next few seconds, minutes, or hours, the positive side of life will be your focus. This doesn't mean that the bad goes away, but that you won't feel it. And the question is, if all you can feel is positivity throughout your lifetime, even when there are lots of bad, can you say that you are happy? I think the answer is yes. This is not to say to ignore your problems, but instead try to fix them without dwelling too much on the negative.
4. Knowing what you truly want out of life is the first and most important step for a fulfilling life.
This one is about how important it is to have clarity about your own life. One of the biggest flaws of parenting and the education system today is that they fail as we're growing up to get us to think deeply about what we truly want out of life. And that's how you see people going to college or taking a certain career path only to later regret. They don't really like what they're doing. They're miserable at their job because someone told you that if you do X, you'll get Y, even when you don't really like X or you don't particularly want Y. And sometimes we don't really want what we think we want. Like those wishes and desires are someone else's, like a parent or a mentor. They imprinted their desires on us, right? So we accomplish whatever they had in mind, and we're surprised. We get surprised when we don't have the same level of joy or happiness we expected to have. So you should question everything about yourself, really. You should strive to know what you really want, because life is too short to just be happy on paper.
5. It's not only your list of accomplishments that define the overall mood of your life. Your immediate circle is arguably more important in that regard. If you hang out with negative people, your overall life mood will be that of negativity, regardless of how much you accomplish. If you hang out with positive people, on the other hand, it doesn't matter how much you feel. And chances are that even the low moments will be cast in a positive light by your surrounding circle.
This idea that we should surround ourselves with positive people has been around for a while, and it really matters. Just think about a dream, for example. At the beginning it's fragile and you're not sure if you should pursue it or not. All it takes is to have one negative person to make you give up on it. The problem is not that the dream was a terrible idea and that they prevented you from making a mistake, but that the reason why they might have told you that the idea was bad probably had nothing to do with you or the idea even. It was all about their problems or insecurities. So you think that their view of it was unbiased or it was more rational, when maybe it really wasn't. It was all based on emotion. So a positive inner circle can really make a difference between a joyful life and a miserable one. It can make the difference between living a dream or living in fear of trying anything new. And it's not to say that you should look for people who blindly accept everything you say just because you don't want to have your feelings hurt or anything like that. Because the world is not made only of people who are negative or positive. There are also people who are a blend of both worlds, negative and positive, like once in a while. Sometimes they're positive, sometimes they're negative. And these people are probably the best friends to have around, since they keep you grounded without having to cut your wings.
This is a bonus. Life. Just like people carries with it an overall mood. The goal is to be happy overall, not in spikes, even if you have to tolerate a few low moments here and there.
So, what do you think? Sure to like this video and subscribe.